Hey, Matt.
Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Of course.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to it.
I really enjoyed the movie. I watched it this week, and I'm excited to learn more about what the origins of this story are. So, Nicholas, I guess I'll start with you. You can tell us a little bit about where this story originated, and then Nick, if you want to follow up with what attracted you to this role in this project.
I had the idea about a character who was unhappy with their life and had an opportunity to take the identity of somebody else and then regret it and then regrets it. Like that conceit was like I thought that was pretty strong. I actually tried a few different ways to get that working. And it actually was sparked off. I went on I had a school reunion experience that was kind of bizarre, and that got me thinking about old friends, and then so it was kind of like piece by piece by piece, and then the cooking thing and the chef, and it all just started feeling, one thing kind of led to another. And also, I'm a big fan of Patricia Highsmith and David Cronenberg and Alfred Hitchcock, and that's sort of. But like I like dramatic irony, big fan of that in writing and in filmmaking. I find it very effective as a film viewer. I enjoy that experience and so I wanted to do something kind of like that.
Nice. And Nick, can you tell us a little bit about what attracted you initially to this role and made you want to be a part of this project?
Yeah, I just love the script. I thought it was just a great story. It was dark. It was unpredictable, and it was strangely funny as well. I found it really just felt like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really great blending of these genres. Yeah, and the role, really like the role of Brian, and yeah, all of the above,
And I agree. I do find it darkly humorous in a lot of areas, and I like that aspect too, and the kind of mixing of genres. And with our central character, he's a flawed character, and he makes some questionable decisions, and yet we're in his corner, and we're rooting for him to succeed in this somehow. Can you each talk a little bit about that balance of following this character who, again, he makes a few decisions that maybe we're like, I don't know how that's going to go, but yeah, we're still firmly in his corner and rooting for him.
I'll go first. I
yeah,
I I believe I've often thought that if you understand a character and understand their motivations and where they're coming from, that you can completely go along with their journey. I mean, and you don't have to like them. You don't have to feel similar to them at all. But if you understand the circumstances and the reason that they're doing things, I believe that you'll go with them.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I really, I was intrigued by by the whole idea that, grass is always greener. Ryan comes into the story, in a difficult place, and meets up with his friend who, they went to culinary school together. They started on kind of this even playing field, and here he is in this beautiful place with this beautiful life, and Ryan's just, it's hard for him not to be kind of eaten up with envy, and so he ends up again like a decision, like Nick said, that's somewhat understandable, but he ends up trading his wants to trade the life that he has, and kind of sells his soul.
Yeah, and it is that classic, like you said, that grass is always greener on the other side, and until you're on the other side, right? And you realize that maybe not so much. And I went into this movie, and there are some twists and turns I didn't see coming from the synopsis and the trailer, and I won't spoil it here, but there's a lot to chew on, I'll say, and I think audiences are going to dig it. Um, I'm curious. So for each of you, have you had real life experiences, either professionally or otherwise, similar to the character where you made a decision and realized, okay, well, maybe the grass isn't quite as green over here as I thought it was.
I have, only because I've been in Hollywood for a while. I feel like there are endless. I call them toxic carrots. You know, it's the carrot where you're chasing the thing and then you finally get it and it's toxic anyway. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of experiences like that.
Yeah, no, definitely, I can relate. I second that.
Now, obviously, the film, it deals with some intense situations. But what, for each of you, looking back now, was your favorite memory from the set of making this film?
I'll start. Yeah, I would say the location. You know, to get to go to a beautiful place like Colombia, it was just amazing. And just really enjoyed it. So and the house we filmed in, we had a great crew, a really fun group of people to work with, and yeah, just overall, it was just a really fun experience.
I think for me it was working with the actors and watching their performances come to life. And because it's one thing to write a script and have an idea and you set the setting and you have the location and whatever, but then you really don't know if it's going to work until you start shooting it, And so, I think this movie is pretty much lives and dies on the characters and the dynamics between the characters. And to be shooting with these great actors and watching them bring these characters into being was amazing. I mean, it was really exciting for me.
And I feel like I have to ask about how the actual food on set while shooting was, because there's a lot of eating in a lot of scenes. Obviously, there's a chef and this dinner at the center of it also. So how was the actual food you guys were eating on set?
I just kept drinking espressos and having water. That's pretty much the guy. I speak no Spanish, but I could say espresso and water and agua, and I would just keep calling out to the crafts. The guy would see me, the craft services guy, and he'd go espresso agua, and I'd be
Agua?
like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, food was great. I did, however, this isn't about the food in general there, but I did happen to get food poisoning at one point toward the end of filming. And so I was really sick for one of the days of filming. So that was pretty rough. It was
But interestingly, that's Nick's most glamorous day on camera. Like,
right.
He looks great. Like on that day, he was feeling so terrible. It was a really good day for him in terms of the shoot. Like how he looked on camera and his performance.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it kept me up all night long. Because I was sick, didn't sleep a wink, and came in but yeah. I mean, you can't see it in the in the scene when we watch the film, but that's the magic of makeup as well. I think the movie magic.
Exactly, that movie magic. Well, for our last couple minutes, if you'll indulge us for just a little bit, as you can see, every day is Halloween for us. So I always try to ask, whenever possible, what does the Halloween holiday mean to you guys? Do you celebrate? Do you look forward to it like we do? And do you have warm memories of growing up celebrating?
You want to go ahead, Nick?
Sure. I mean, me and Nick are both dads, and so now it's all about my daughter, and now she's getting a little too old to trick or treat, which is very sad. But yeah, I mean, the last handful of years, it's been about her costumes and things like that, and trick or treating, and I loved Halloween when I was a kid. I would speaking of getting sick on food, I would get eat an entire bag of candy in a night and get sick. And those were my Halloween memories.
Yeah, I'm from Australia originally, and when back when I was a kid, we didn't celebrate Halloween. I think they might now in Australia, but when I was a kid, we didn't. So I didn't have any experience with it until I came to America, and then not even really until I had kids, because otherwise it was just people going out to parties and stuff, and I didn't really get it. But then yeah, so having kids. And our street is one of the trick-or-treating streets too. So like I see the whole neighborhood comes to our house. So it's a big deal. And I get to play all my crazy, freaky music. And like I try and find, like, my wife keeps playing like the family-friendly version but I'm like, no, let's find the Nine Inch Nails, and that's really freaking.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I've got kids too. And again, that's part of the magic of Halloween too. And then our last question we always ask, it's actually two parts, but and this can be from any time as a family costume or from growing up, but your favorite Halloween costume you've worn and your favorite Halloween candy.
Favorite costume. So we were definitely on a budget when I was growing up. But my mom was actually, she was a seamstress for this children's theater group, which is how I got into acting when I was like 4. So she could put together, she could put together like a really cool costume with, next to nothing. And I just remember my sister and I we were Raggedy Ann and Andy at one point, which that's the only costume that's coming to mind. But very homemade, very homemade style. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
My son got into Star Wars at a certain point, and he wanted to go as a Star Wars character. So my favorite memory is of arriving in the living room dressed completely as Vader in the dark, and him just like his mind being blown, more for him than for me, that was pretty cool.
Oh, I love those. And how about favorite Halloween candy or treat?
I like an almond joy. Everybody in my family thinks I'm crazy, but I like chocolate and coconut, so I'm all in for the almond joy.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the Reese's Cups,
Classic.
Yeah. Classic.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you both so much. I love the film, and I really appreciate you talking to us today. And we always hate to say goodbye, but every day's Halloween, so instead I always just say Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you, Matt. Thanks for talking to us.